Hello everybody and welcome back to Thrash Reviews, where yours truly, Thrash Maniac 99, continues to review upcoming hard rock and heavy metal albums in the calendar year of 2016. And today I am reviewing a huge release that came out today, the newest album from Boston, or not Boston, but Massachusetts metalcore greats Killswitch Engage, their new album INCARNATE. It's been 3 years since the release of their last album, Disarm the Descent, with the return of Jesse Leach, their original vocalist from the first two albums, after the departure of Howard Jones, who went on to form The Devil You Know. With Disarm the Descent, it was a fantastic album, so people were wondering if they came back together to make another record, could it be topped? Well, we're here with INCARNATE, so let's find out if that sentiment of, or that feeling of if it was topped, or if Disarm the Descent was topped by this. Let's find out. The opening track, Alone I Stand, was a killer opening track, 4.5-minute song, which was the second longest track of the album, and all the core aspects of Killswitch Engage's sound is present. You know, the screamy, growly vocals along with the clean vocals, the background vocals from Adam D, the guitar tone is there, the thunder strumming, the pounding bass, with the breakdowns and some melodic death metal influence thrown in there as well. So it's like pretty much with this whole album, Killswitch was trying to show that, hey, melodic death metal can be played in a more modern style with a metalcore vibe to it, and it can still sound fresh and sound like it's new to the scene today. It's kind of like the ideas Killswitch are going for on this album is really what bands like In Flames really need to do, because In Flames, in my opinion, after 2006, they've become pretty average. And I wish they would go back to what made them good, but that's around the point. But with Alone I Stand, fantastic opener, no complaints whatsoever. The next track I want to talk about is the middle track, which was the longest track of the album at 5.5 minutes, Embrace the Journey, Appraised. Wow. Not only was it a fast and brutal track, but also it was a beautiful track that really brings together everything that Killswitch has done in their career, bring it all together into this masterpiece of a song. And I honestly will go as far as to say that this track is arguably one of the best Killswitch Engage songs ever recorded, bar none. This was a fantastic track. The riffs, it's like most metal fans rely on that certain amount of repetition where it's like, just stay on that fucking riff. And they stay on riffs for a good amount of time on this track, and the riffs are catchy, but also well executed. And what else can be said about that? The next track I want to talk about is We Carry On. This song kind of reminded me a little bit of like songs like The Arms of Sorrow or even Always from Disarm the Descent. This was I'd say that was their softest song of the album, and I use that term loosely because there is some heavy riffs going on throughout the track. But as far as like a lyric concept, very, very touching track. I mean, I know a lot of people claim metalcore lyrics are pussified and whatever. It's all about telling a story of your own personal life, and there are some lyrics from some of these bands like Killswitch, like As I Lay Dying, like even Hatebreed that you can relate to if you've been through some of these kind of tough times in the sense of what these guys are writing lyrically. So that's why I think We Carry On was a beautiful song that really captures a real personal feeling to it lyrically, and also the music was well constructed. But the closing track, Ascension, pretty much was another heavy tune that just closes out what I think was a really solid release by Killswitch. Ascension, again, brings all the core aspects of what Killswitch has been able to do and come together and do something a little bit different, kind of go for the more mid-tempo shifts. mid-tempo pacing and maybe a fast moment or a slower moment, but they really come full circle going back to, say, like Alone I Stand. It's kind of like the bookend tracks really kind of are companions to each other, if you ask me. But overall with this album, you had a few tracks on this album that I felt were just kind of there. Like, they weren't bad, they were actually decent songs. It just didn't stimulate me too much. But the majority of this album was filled with memorable tracks, songs that Killswitch fans are going to remember for a long time. But for me, I've always been a fan of Killswitch, so I will stick by what they do as long as it's true and the right music they're going for. And they've really been one of the more consistent metalcore bands out there. They haven't, in my opinion, released a dud, and this album ain't no different. This was no dud. This was actually a solid work. One I would recommend to any fan of metalcore or any fan of Killswitch. If you're into this kind of style, you will enjoy it. The only complaint I could really give is that sometimes the tones sound too similar to what they've done in the past, but there's always room for expansion. I do feel like on certain tracks they do try that, and I respect them for it. But overall, as far as the score, I would give this an 84 out of 100. Very solid release by Killswitch, but I'm thinking maybe their next record could be where they go really over the top. So to me, this didn't top Disarm the Descent, but it don't have to. You don't always have to necessarily beat your predecessor in order to make great music. This was a great album, just not as great as Disarm the Descent, but it doesn't have to be. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Peace.